President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seeks 9 months transition back to democracy in Niger Republic. Governor Malam Omar Namadi donates 30 patrol motorcycles to the State Police Command. African Union suspends Gabon membership after a military coup in the country. Today is 15th Safar 1445 after the Hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is equivalent to 1st September 2023. I am Salamatunud Aliman with the news in full. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed his deepest condolence to the government and people of South Africa following a tragic fire incident at a multi-story building in Johannesburg Central Business District. Tinubu's condolence message was contained in a statement signed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngaleli, yesterday. The president prayed for speedy recovery for the wounded. Also, Tinubu expressed hope that the collective strength of South African people, relevant government agencies, and the unwavering spirit of Africa will positively impact the healing and rehabilitation of all those affected. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, also head of the West African bloc ECOWAS, suggested a 9-month transition back to democracy for Niger's new regime, as Nigeria had done in the 1990s following military rule. The Economic Community of West African States has imposed sanctions on Niger after troops ousted President Mohamed Bazoum on July 26th, and the bloc is threatening military intervention if talks fail to restore civilian rule. Niger's military have dug in, saying they want a 3-year transition period to restore constitutional order and have ordered police to expel France envoy as tensions build with Niger's former colonial ruler. Tinubu said Nigeria returned to civilian rule in 1999 after a 9-month transition period instituted by former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, who has also headed delegations to meet the Niger rulers. But Tinubu's statement said there will be no relief from sanctions imposed by ECOWAS until the regime made positive adjustment. Vice President Kashim Shettima said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has budgeted 50 billion naira to support the ongoing rebuilding of lives and property in the northwest and northeast. Shettima also said the administration will focus on dialogue to address security challenges. He spoke today at a meeting at the State House Abuja between President Tinubu and Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, led by the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Muhammad Saad Abubakar retired. Tinubu spoke on the hardship being faced by many Nigerians post-fuel subsidy removal. He gave an assurance that all ongoing reforms will liberate and reposition the economy, which will benefit the majority of the population in terms of opportunities, infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The president told the delegation that the federal government had opened talks with state government to provide land for the proper sustenance of animals with a view to developing pan-national animal husbandry and agro-allied production and processing facilities for mass export, job creation, and revenue generation. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Bita Edu, disclosed that the federal government will establish a Presidential Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation Trust Fund. Bita Edu made the disclosure in Abuja yesterday when she hosted members of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She praised the Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting humanitarian causes in Africa. The minister urged it to sustain the tempo. Bita Edu expressed optimism about the federal government's determination to support vulnerable Nigerians affected by the humanitarian crisis in the country through different interventions. The Nigerian director of the foundation, Jeremy Zongrana, assured the Minister of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's readiness to work closely with the ministry to support Nigeria's efforts at tackling the major humanitarian crisis in the country. Jeremiah Zongrana also expressed the nation's desire to engage with the different stakeholders in the sector to achieve the set objectives. He commended the minister for engaging with critical stakeholders with a view to providing support to the needy. Meanwhile, the Greece ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Lonis Plotas, has expressed his country's readiness to support the federal government in its efforts to lift Nigerians out of poverty. Mr. Platos said this when he met with the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Abita Edu, on yesterday in Abuja. The envoy said his visit was to strengthen cooperation between Nigeria and Greece to support the country's humanitarian response. The envoy assured determination of the Greek government to provide the needed support. In her response, the minister expressed commitment of the Tinubu administration to lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty. She said the ministry will ensure a robust and sustainable poverty alleviation program, especially a social safety net that will capture the vulnerable groups in Nigeria. The news is coming to you from the studios of Sawaba Radio. More is after this short break. Stay tuned.
This is news on the hour. Sawaba Radio FM. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're still into the services of Sawaba Radio 104.9 Hadija. Troops of the armed forces eliminated 39 terrorists, apprehended 159 others, and rescued 109 hostages in different operations in the last 2 weeks. Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba said this on Thursday in Abuja at a bi-weekly news briefing on military operations across the country. He said troops of Operation Hadenke ambushed and arrested Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists in Goza and Termoa local government areas of Borno and Yobe, respectively, in the northeast. He said that the offensive led to the surrender by some terrorists of Goza area of Borno and resulted in the elimination of some others, the rescue of hostages, and the recovery of arms and ammunition. He added that in another operation, troops neutralized 11 terrorists, arrested 45 others, and rescued 34 hostages within the period and recovered large caches of arms and ammunition. Mr. Buba also told newsmen that the air components of the military operations conducted an interdiction of terrorists at Sububu Forest in Kankara local government area of Katsina State and degraded terrorists at the locations. The National Defense College Officers' Wives Association gave palliatives to 200 women and some less privileged persons in Puoyi community in Abuja. The coordinator of the association, Ms. Rhoda Olutu, said the intervention was to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal and hike in prices of food and other essentials on the citizens. One of the beneficiaries thanked the officer's wife for the gesture, saying that the palliative came when it was needed most. She further said the food items would alleviate their sufferings and prayed God to guide and protect the Nigerian armed forces. Governor Malam Umar Namadi has donated 30 patrol motorcycles to the State Police Command. Speaking while presenting the motorcycle, the governor said the motorbikes will improve surveillance and responsive operations against criminals. Presented by the Secretary to the State Government, Malam Bala Ibrahim, the governor said the donation is the first phase of the distribution to security agencies by the present administration. Presenting the keys of motorcycles to DCOP OPS Tijani Murtala in his office, the SSG assured all necessary support and cooperation to the security outlets operating in the state to sustain the tempo. Commenting on the donation, DC Tijani Murtala assured the governor that the motorcycles will be used to enhance the security situation in the state. The Jigawa state government has conducted a verification exercise for state, local government, and local education authority staff. Is to conduct. This was contained in a statement issued by the State Commissioner of Finance, Professor Hannat Sabo Muhammad. She said the exercise will be conducted through her ministry. Professor Hannat Sabo said the exercise will be conducted in two phases with ministries and agencies from 4th to 15th September, while verification for local government and LEA staff will be conducted from 18th to 30th September. The statement added that already schedule for the exercise has been sent to them for workers to know the date and venue of the verification exercise. Now to international scene. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, Hakan Fidan, said that the revival of the agreement on the export of food products through the Mediterranean Sea is very important to ensure the supply of food in the world. Mr. Fidan was speaking while meeting with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, in Moscow. However, Mr. Lavrov said that the agreement will be restored if the Western countries give assurance that Russia will not be prevented from exporting its food and fertilizers again. In July, Moscow refused to renew the agreement. The two ministers said that the president of their countries will meet soon, and there is a possibility that the issue of transporting food through the Black Sea will be something that they will discuss. The African Union has suspended Gabon's participation in all of its activities following Wednesday's military takeover, which it strongly condemned. The decision followed a meeting on Thursday of the bloc's Peace and Security Council. Earlier, the Gabonese junta said it will phase in what it is calling transitional institutions after the removal of President Ali Bongo. The soldiers gave no details on how long this will remain in place, nor on how or whether power might be handed back to a civilian government. The main opposition alliance has urged the junta to discuss the best way forward. It added that Gabonese should be grateful that they had dethroned the Bongo dynasty, but called on the military to act responsibly. That has been the news. Before I go, a recap of the major stories. From the news we heard President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seeks 9-month transition back to democracy in Niger Republic. Governor Malam Umar Namadi donated 30 patrol motorcycles to the State Police Command. On the international scene, African Union suspend Gabon membership after military coup in the country. That has been the news on behalf of the news department. Editor Haruna Ahmed Bultua, content announcer Zaliha Ahmed. I am Salam Tanud Eleman saying good afternoon.